My fiancée reconnected with her ex while we were on a break, ghosted me for weeks, and then showed up ready to resume wedding plans. But I had a surprise she never saw coming. Lily, she's 27 and I'm 29. We'd been together for 3 years. She's smart, funny, and when you're with her, it feels like the world fades away. I proposed last year, and we started planning our summer wedding. Everything seemed perfect, or so I thought. One day, Lily tells me she's heading back to her hometown to spend time with her sister. She's super close with her family and hadn't visited in a while, so I didn't think twice. She packed a bag, kissed me goodbye, and said she'd be back in a couple of weeks. At first, everything seemed fine. We texted a little, and she called me that first night to let me know she made it safely. But the next day, something felt different. She called me in the afternoon and said, "Hey, I need to talk to you about something." "Okay, what's up?" I asked. That's when she hit me with, "I think I need some time to think." I was thrown. "Think about what? Is it the wedding? Are you stressed? Did I do something?" She didn't really answer, just kept saying she needed some time to herself. I didn't want to pressure her, so I said, "All right, if you need space, I get it. Just keep me in the loop." She promised we'd talk soon, but something about it felt off. The call ended weird, and I sat there thinking, what just happened? After that, she went completely quiet. I texted her a few times, just light messages like "hope you're doing okay" or "thinking of you," but got nothing. I called. No answer. She even disappeared from social media, which was strange because she usually posted everything from her coffee to the clouds. I messaged her sister, hoping for clarity, and all I got back was, "Haven't seen her much, sorry." That made 0 sense. At this point, I was barely sleeping. My friends tried reassuring me, saying maybe she just needed to unplug, but it didn't feel right. This wasn't Lily. She never went radio silent, especially not with me. And it wasn't like we were having issues. We were literally picking out flower arrangements the week before she left. No fights, no red flags. I kept replaying everything in my head, trying to spot what I missed, but it all seemed normal. Still, I tried to be understanding. Maybe she really was just overwhelmed. Maybe she didn't know how to talk about what she was feeling, but after 2 weeks of silence, I couldn't take it anymore. If she wouldn't tell me what was going on, I'd find out myself. I packed an overnight bag, filled up the tank, and drove to her hometown. It was a long trip, enough time to mentally prepare for whatever weird conversation was waiting for me. I kept telling myself, maybe she's just going through something. Maybe it's not that bad. But deep down, I felt something was seriously wrong. When I pulled up to her parents' house where I assumed she was staying, my heart was pounding. I knocked. No answer at first. Then she opened the door. The look on her face said everything. She wasn't expecting me. She froze for a second, like I was a test she hadn't studied for. Then she mumbled, "I didn't think you'd come," and let me in. We sat down in the living room, and the whole vibe was off. Normally, being with her felt easy. This was forced. She started with small talk, asked about my drive, offered me a drink, like we hadn't been living in radio silence. I played along at first, but I wasn't there to talk traffic. So after a long, awkward pause, I asked, "Lily, what's going on? Why haven't you been responding?" She took a deep breath. "I've been trying to figure some things out." "Figure what out?" I asked, keeping my voice calm. She hesitated. Her eyes didn't meet mine. Then finally, she said it. "I ran into my ex when I got here." It felt like the floor dropped out from under me. I blinked, trying to register what she'd just said. "What do you mean?" "It wasn't planned," she said. "We bumped into each other at the store and started talking." That word "talking" hit like a punch. It's not that she saw him. That could happen. It was how casual she made it sound, like this wasn't a massive deal. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, trying not to lose it. "I didn't want to upset you. Not until I knew how I felt." "How you felt?" I repeated. "Lily, we're engaged, planning a wedding." "What do you mean, how you felt?" Then she said it. "I've been spending time with him," she admitted, barely above a whisper. I needed to know if I still had feelings. For a second, I couldn't even speak. My brain was trying to make sense of this. "Unresolved feelings," I finally said. "You're supposed to be marrying me, and you're out here revisiting your past like it's some movie montage. I didn't want to go into our marriage with doubts," she said. My chest tightened, my fists clenched. "So, you've been ghosting me for this guy," I said, the hurt pouring out. "Why didn't you just tell me?" Why shut me out? She started to respond, but I cut her off. What does this mean for us, Lily? Are you still deciding? Because I'm not waiting around to find out if I'm your backup plan. Her face crumpled like she might cry, but instead, she whispered, I didn't want to hurt you. I just needed time. Do you even hear yourself? I snapped. You already hurt me. Weeks of silence. That's worse than being honest. We kept going in circles after that. Every time I asked for a straight answer, she dodged it, mumbling about needing clarity and not wanting to make a mistake. I felt drained, completely empty. So finally, I stood up, looked her in the eyes, and said, I need some time to think. Just like she did, her eyes widened. I don't think she expected that, but I didn't wait for her to respond. I grabbed my keys and walked out. That drive home felt like the longest trip of my life. I wasn't mad, not in the kind of way. I was just hurt, really, deeply hurt. I kept going over her words in my head. Unresolved feelings. What does that even mean? Why couldn't she just tell me the truth? She could have just talked to me, said something, anything. Instead, she shut me out and ghosted me for weeks. The next few days were a complete blur. I showed up to work, but my head wasn't in it. I'd just sit at my desk, staring at my screen, pretending to be busy. When coworkers asked if I was all right, I gave the usual, yeah, just tired, excuse. My friends checked in too, but I didn't have the energy to go into the whole story, at least not at first. Eventually, I opened up to a couple of close friends. Their reactions said it all. Shock, disgust, frustration. My buddy Mark shook his head and said, dude, that's beyond messed up. She should have told you the second her ex came into the picture. Then there was Jenna, blunt as ever. If she's entertaining her ex while she's engaged to you, she doesn't deserve you, period. Hearing it from other people made it hit harder. It wasn't just in my head. This whole thing was messed up. But it also made me feel like a complete idiot. How did I not see it coming? Were there warning signs I missed? The worst part was how blindsided I felt. We weren't just casually dating. We were planning our future, looking at wedding venues, picking colors, even tossing around baby names. And now, all of that felt fake. I started scrolling through our old messages, looking for anything, some sign, some hint. But nothing stood out. Everything had been normal, happy, until she left. It was like a switch flipped the second she ran into him. One night, I messaged her sister again. I didn't want to drag her into it, but I was desperate for clarity. Her reply, I think Lily's just going through some stuff. She'll figure it out. Figure it out. We were supposed to be a team, and now I was the only one left trying to hold the pieces together. Then, a week later, out of nowhere, Lily texted me. No apology. No explanation. Just, hey, how are you? Like we hadn't just gone radio silent for weeks. I stared at that message. I didn't respond. I couldn't. What was I supposed to say? Oh, hey, I'm great. Thanks for ditching me while you caught up with your ex. The silence between us grew louder by the day, and honestly, it started to feel like closure, like maybe this was just the quiet, sad ending of something I thought would last forever. I began to ask myself, do I even want to fix this? Could I ever trust her again? But it wasn't that simple. We'd built a life together, or at least the beginnings of one. Breaking up wasn't just breaking a heart. It meant undoing all the plans, dreams, and routines we'd built. The idea of starting over felt terrifying, but staying in something that no longer felt safe, that was even worse. I started asking myself the hard questions. What do I need? What do I deserve? And the answer was clear. I deserve honesty. I deserve someone who doesn't put me on pause the moment things get complicated. By the end of that week, I'd made up my mind. If Lily wanted to fix this, it would take more than a weak text. And honestly, even then, I wasn't sure if there was anything left to save. I didn't text her back, and she didn't follow up. The silence between us, it spoke volumes. It felt like an unspoken agreement that we were over. And weirdly, that brought me peace. I wasn't happy, but I was calm. I was healing. Slowly, then like clockwork she came back. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was halfway through binge-watching a show I didn't even like, just trying to keep my mind off things, when there was a knock at the door. I figured it was Mark, maybe coming to drag me out of the house. Or a delivery. But nope, it was Lily. She stood there like nothing had happened, smiling like she brought cookies for a neighbor. Hey, she said casually, like she hadn't ghosted me for weeks. I just stood there, wondering if I was hallucinating. Ah, hey, I said, stepping aside out of habit. She walked in like she still lived there, complimented how clean everything was, and plopped onto the couch like it was just another Saturday. Then she patted the spot next to her and said, "We need to talk." I braced myself, expecting a heartfelt apology, a confession, something. But instead, she jumped straight into wedding talk. Our venues, still holding the date. She said like we'd been talking all this time. And I was thinking lavender for the table settings. It's timeless, don't you think? I blinked. I had to interrupt. "Lily, what are you doing here?" She looked confused, like I'd just asked her what color the sky was. "I'm here to fix things," she said, so casually. I laughed. A sharp, bitter laugh. The kind you don't plan it, just escapes. "Fix things," I repeated. "You mean the relationship you put on hold while you explored your feelings for your ex?" "That relationship." She looked stunned. "That's over," she said. I realized I don't have feelings for him anymore. It's you I want to be with. I stood up. I couldn't sit still anymore. "And you expect me to just believe that? To take you back like none of this ever happened?" She didn't say anything. I needed time. "I didn't want to hurt you," she finally offered. "You didn't want to hurt me," I said, voice rising. "Then why ghost me for weeks? Why not tell me the truth?" "I had to drive to your hometown just to find out what was going on." It's not like that, she tried, but I cut her off. "It's exactly like that. You disappeared while I sat at home losing sleep, wondering what the hell happened. And now you're here acting like it's all fine again." She started to respond, but I wasn't done. "You don't get to disappear and come back like nothing happened. That's not how this works. That's not love. That's selfish." She looked down, twisting the engagement ring on her finger. My ring. The sight of it made my chest tighten. "Take it off," I said. She looked up. "What?" "The ring," I said, pointing. "Take it off. You don't get to wear it. Not anymore." Her eyes widened like she wanted to argue, but after a pause, she slid it off and placed it on the table. Then she stood there, staring at me like she was waiting for me to say something to change my mind. But I didn't. I just looked back at her, calm and sure. "Is this it?" she asked quietly. "You're just done?" "Yes," I said. "I'm done. I'm not an option. Lily, you don't get to hit pause on me and then come back when it's convenient. That's not love. That's manipulation." Her lips quivered, but she said nothing. She turned and walked toward the door. That night, I sat on the couch, just staring at the ring on the table. It didn't even feel real. But one thing was certain: I made the right call. I wasn't going to be someone's backup plan. I wasn't going to sit around hoping to be chosen. I deserved more. And for the first time in weeks, I finally felt like I was choosing me. Lily was gone. And you know what? I was okay with that, posting this, just to keep y'all in the loop. Thanks again for all your support and comments. It's meant more than I can say. Things took a turn I didn't expect. So here's how it all played out. After Lily's surprise pop-in, I was stuck in this emotional limbo. I wasn't ready to forgive her, but I didn't have it in me to confront her again either. I felt like I was standing in quicksand, paralyzed, unsure of what to do next. So, naturally, I did what most guys would do, avoided the whole situation, and kept to myself. Then, out of nowhere, I got a text from Mia, one of Lily's friends. We were always on friendly terms, but never close. Her message said, "Hey, just checking in. I heard about the break. Wanted to see how you're doing." I stared at it for a while, wondering if it was a trap. But finally, I replied, "Hey, thanks for reaching out. I'm doing okay, I guess." Surprisingly, she was super easy to talk to. She said she'd been through something similar and just wanted to offer a listening ear. We started texting back and forth, and honestly, felt good. No pressure, no drama. Just someone who listened. A few days later, Mia texted again. "Want to grab a coffee?" I wasn't in the mood to socialize, but she kept nudging me. "Come on, it'll be good to get out for a bit." I caved. When we met up, it felt normal. Not romantic, not flirty, just two people talking. She asked about my job, my hobbies, even brought up dumb stories from college. And for the first time in weeks, I felt noticed. Like I mattered to someone. Just me, not as someone's fiancée, not as part of some emotional wreck. Then she said, "You deserve someone who appreciates you, who doesn't take you for granted." I didn't know what to say. Just kind of mumbled, "Yeah, I guess." The thing is, I wasn't interested in Mia like that. She was kind, sure, but I was still processing all the emotional fallout from Lily. I wasn't ready to even think about starting something new, and I didn't want to give her false hope. But Mia kept texting, sending memes, asking to hang out again. It wasn't pushy, but you could feel she was testing the waters. One night, she asked if I wanted to grab dinner. I politely tried to say no, but she brushed it off. It's just dinner. Don't overthink it. So I went, and yet it was awkward. She dressed like it was a date. I showed up in a hoodie and jeans. The vibe was polite, but tense. I could feel her trying to create something that wasn't there. That night, I made a decision: no more one-on-one hangouts. I wasn't going to lead her on, or add more chaos to the mess I was already untangling. But of course, somehow, Lily found out, whether Mia told her, or one of their mutual friends spilled the beans, or maybe Lily just has some built-in radar, I don't know. But the next day, she was on my doorstep. No text, no warning, just pounding on the door like she was the cops. I opened it, already exhausted. And there she was, furious. "What the hell are you doing hanging out with Mia?" "She's my friend," she barked, pushing past me into the living room. I shut the door behind her and said flatly, "Nice to see you too, Lily. What do you want?" She spun around, full of fire. "You're hooking up with one of my friends. Are you serious?" I crossed my arms. "First of all, I'm not hooking up with anyone. Second, what makes you think you get to question me? We're not together anymore. She's my friend. This is humiliating," she snapped. I let out a bitter laugh. "Humiliating? Lily, you walked away. You ghosted me. You chose to reconnect with your ex. Now you're mad that I talked to someone who actually gave a damn about me." Her face twisted, like she couldn't believe I was saying this out loud. "So that's it. You're just moving on." I shrugged. "What did you expect? That I'd just wait around forever for you to figure out if I was good enough?" "I came back because I realized I still love you," she said, raising her voice. "Too late," I said. "Maybe you should go back to your ex. You seem to be great at recycling old options." Her face flushed red, her jaw clenched. "Are you serious right now?" "Dead serious," I replied. "You didn't think twice about ditching me for him before. Why stop now?" She lost it. "You think you're better than me? You don't get to judge me like this." "I'm not judging," I said. "I'm done. That's it. You don't get to pop back into my life whenever it suits you. That's not love, Lily. That's control." Her lip trembled. She looked like she wanted to yell something else, but instead, she stormed toward the door. Before she could leave, I said, "Oh, and take the ring off." She froze. "What? The ring? You don't get to wear that anymore." She looked like she might argue. But then, slowly, she slid it off and set it on the table between us. She looked at me, maybe hoping I'd say something to stop her. I didn't. "Is this really it?" she asked. "You're just done?" "Yeah," I said. "I'm done." She left without another word. That night, I sat on the couch, staring at the ring. Everything that happened over the past few weeks felt like a fever dream. But for the first time in a long time, I felt peace. A couple of days later, Mia texted me again, asked if I wanted to grab lunch. I hesitated. She'd been kind when I needed someone, but I could tell she was hoping for something more. Still, I figured lunch wouldn't hurt as long as I used it to be clear. We met up. It was chill, light conversation, but she was clearly hoping for something, laughing a little too much, leaning in too close. Midway through, I gently cut to the point. "Mia, I'm really grateful you've been there for me, but I need you to know, I'm not looking for anything right now, just friendship." She looked surprised but quickly smiled and said, "Of course. I didn't mean to make it weird." I was relieved. After we parted ways, I walked back to my carrand. That's when I saw her. Lily. She was standing half a block away, leaning against a pole, pretending to scroll on her phone. I knew that posture. She wasn't just there. She was watching. I froze, thought about saying something, but what would that solve? She'd just deny it and start another fight, so I got in my car and drove away like I hadn't seen her. Over the next week, it kept happening. I'd spot her car parked down the street, catch a glimpse of her at the grocery store, always pretending she wasn't watching, but I knew. Then one night, as I pulled into the parking lot of a takeout spot, I saw her car again. That was it. I was done. When I got home, I texted her, "Lily, I've noticed you around. Please stop following me. This isn't healthy, and it's not going to change anything." She didn't reply. I didn't expect her to, but after that, the car disappeared. No more sightings. No more texts. Nothing. And for the first time, it felt over. Really over. Mia texted me a few more times, but I kept it short, polite, distant. I wasn't about to let myself fall into another complicated situation. I needed this time for me. Lily might still be out there, watching, waiting. But she doesn't get to have a say in my life anymore. I'm done. And this time, I mean it. If there's one thing I've learned through all of this, it's this. I deserve better. Thanks for sticking with me, y'all. If you've got advice, I'm all ears. Otherwise, I'll just be over here, figuring out what it means to start fresh.